So let me reiterate a few of the things which we mentioned this morning. We were just speaking randomly with regards to the appearance of the Supreme Lord, Sri Krishna at Vrindavan. And we also discussed, to a certain extent, how Krishna returned to Vrindavan 5,000 years later as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So one of the first things that I mentioned in the morning was that we have several books which inform us about the Supreme Lord's pastimes on the earth. These three books are Srimad Bhagavatam, Mahabharata, and a book called Harivamsa, which is a very authoritative book accepted by the Vaishnavas. Harivamsa means the family of Hari, and Mahabharata, Mahabharata, the great history of Bharat, and Srimad Bhagavatam. So, it is only in Srimad Bhagavatam that we find Krishna's Vrindavan pastimes. There are no pastimes of Krishna at Vrindavan mentioned in Mahabharata, only in Srimad Bhagavatam. And some years ago, when Mahabharata was showing in India, when they made that movie, they just simply injected some Vrindavan pastimes, some color throwing, holy, and the sadhu section, they protested, what is this? What is this? There is no Krishna Leela of Vrindavan type in Mahabharata. This is a concoction. And similarly, in this Harivamsa, there may be some mention that Krishna was from Vrindavan, that he lived in Vrindavan and so forth, but there is no mention, no description of his pastimes. So, in Srimad Bhagavatam is where Krishna's Vrindavan pastimes are presented in the 10th canto of Bhagavatam. So I selected one verse here this evening to read and have some discussion on, because in the purport it contains one particular very interesting point, which will lead to some nice discussion of Krishna's pastimes. So this is from the 10th canto, the 9th chapter, which is entitled Mother Yasoda Binds Lord Krishna. Now generally, binding Lord Krishna, this is related to what time of year? Kartik, generally. How Krishna is bound by the ropes of Mother Yasoda. And thus he is known as Damodar, and that month, Damodar. So it is also appropriate any time Krishna's pastimes, not that only Damodar Leela is read in Damodar month, and only Krishna's appearance is read on Janmasthami. Not like that. And Krishna's pastimes are eternally going on. All of his pastimes are being manifested simultaneously somewhere. The most unique thing within our capacity to imagine, and we must use to some extent, just try to imagine. Because when we say just try to imagine means we have to go beyond the norm. Just think, just imagine. And in this way we try to go. So we must approach in that way, just imagine, because it is beyond our norm. Yet Krishna is not within the scope of our imagination. He is not subject to come within the scope of our imagination. But just imagine means we must be prepared that what we will experience in Krishna, it is beyond our normal understanding. It is beyond even the paranormal. So, within the pastimes of Krishna, all are eternal. But what understanding do we have of eternal? Eternal, we have a rather limited understanding. We have this idea, without ending. But ending in itself is a limitation. But we say without end, like a rope that had no end. It just goes and goes and goes. But still the word end is there. So eternal, it may mean, we may say without ending. But it is even more than that. No conception of ending. In saying without ending, we're attaching some possibility of ending. That which is even beyond the conception of that. Always manifest. So all Krishna's pastimes, they are eternally manifest. Except four. Four of his pastimes are only occasionally manifest. When the Supreme Lord advents to any particular universe. His very advent, that is not eternal. From another side, it is discussed that yes, it is eternal. Goloka and Gokula. Goloka is the unmanifest, where everything is going on eternal. And Gokula is where that unmanifest becomes manifest. Well, ultimately, both are eternal. Yet in the eternal Goloka Vrindavan, Krishna does not take birth. He does not appear there. Similarly, he does not disappear there. And we do not observe the disappearance of Lord Krishna, although it is mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam about his disappearance from the world. No date is set to observe that. So, in this world, the Lord appears and he shows his pastime of disappearance. But in Goloka, he neither appears nor does he ever disappear. Also, the Lord kills demons in this world. But he kills no demons in Goloka. In Goloka, there are no demons to kill. Gokula is where Goloka touches the earth. On earthly side, there are demons. So there is some capacity for overlapping there. There, Krishna kills demons. Krishna kills demons. But there in Goloka, there are no demons. So there's no slaying of demons. And also, there, in Goloka Vrindavan, there are no husbands of the gopis, other than the Vatsalya Rasa. Vatsalya Rasa means the elders, like Mother Yasoda, Maharaj, Purnamasi, and others, Jatila. They're elderly, and they're elderly gentlemen there. Nanda Maharaj's brother, extended family is there, the family of Krishna. Elderly section of Vatsalya Rasa. But in the younger section, in the Madhurya section, there are no husbands there. Only here, in this world, are there so-called husbands. In particular, we were discussing earlier, Maharaj and I were discussing, Abhimanyu. Who is this Abhimanyu? Who is Abhimanyu? He plays the husband of Srimati Radharani. So if you contemplate that, this becomes an impossibility. Who will play? There is no husband of Radharani. If any husband, that is Madhava. Madhava means the husband of the goddess of fortune. So Madhava is actually the husband of Radharani. Radharani is the supreme goddess of fortune. But here in this world, there are some husbands of the gopis. So who is this Abhimanyu? Who will be? Who will play the part of the husband of Radharani? Who can do that? No one can do that. We try to analyze who can do that. Sometimes for certain necessity, the Lord expands himself. The Lord himself, Krishna, he will not expand himself as Abhimanyu to play the husband of Radharani. This will spoil the whole thing. So that's not possible. So for many such things, Baladev expands himself. But how will Baladev, who won't even look into the face of Radharani, If he sees her footprints someplace, he goes in the opposite direction. But there should not be even a chance meeting. How will that Baladev expand himself, and how will he become this Abhimanyu? This is also not possible. So who will become? Within what jiva, what unfortunate jiva soul could be assigned that service? Better to be Chota Haridas thousands of times, millions of times. The example of Chota Haridas, he's pure devotee of the Lord. The Lord chose him to show one special example for the sannyasis, particularly. He gave the example of Chota Haridas. So we might think, oh, that's such a hard service to show for the Lord. You have to give up his own life, rejected, and all these things. That may be acceptable. What jiva will accept the role of Abhimanyu? I mean, that would be a curse, wouldn't it? What a curse. So the conclusion is, this Abhimanyu is a figment of someone's imagination. He doesn't even exist. Figment of the imagination, more or less. He's not any jiva soul, not any expansion of Baladev, not any expansion of Krishna. Figment of the imagination means Yogamaya. By Yogamaya arrangement, Abhimanyu, the husband of Radharani. Otherwise, no one can be a husband of Radharani. No one will even want to play that role. Like Chandravali. Chandravali is competition. But what competition is there? Who is Chandravali? Any living entity will come to compete with Srimati Radharani? No. No one would want to accept that. No one will take that role. Oh yes, I will come as your competitor. In Sakya-ras, and even in Vatsalya-ras, there may be some competition. And other devotees may give competition in different ways. But that is acceptable just due to their nature of Vatsalya or by the nature of Sakya-ras. But in Madhurya, this is not possible. Who will give competition to Radharani? Again, no one will give competition. First is no one is fit to compete. And who will take up that, say, oh yes, just for the flavor of the rasa, I will give the competition. No one will do that either. Therefore, she herself becomes Chandravali. Chandravali is Radharani's own expansion. If the devotees hear there is competition to Radharani, actually they become very disturbed by that. How is this possible? Who will come to challenge our Lord? Hearing that in this world, the sadhaks, the devotees, they are disturbed by that. There is some element to challenge the supremacy of our goddess. It is intolerable for them. Just like you read how that one Ram Bhakta, he just chanced to read, Ravana took away Sita. And this was like a hurricane or an earthquake in his heart. How is it possible that the vile demon, Ravana, that he is touched my most worshipful mother, Sita? He was Ram Bhakta. Intolerable. He could not tolerate it. The sound entered his ear and it was an earthquake in his heart. He decided just to leave this body and die. He couldn't see anywhere to go, anywhere to run. Death seemed to be the only answer. So he just stopped eating. At that time, Mahaprabhu arrived at his house. And he noticed the Brahmins not taking prasad. Even after Mahaprabhu was served, the Brahmin did not take his meal. So Mahaprabhu inquired, why are you not taking your food? Why are you not taking prasad? Then he revealed his heart. I have heard this, and I cannot live with this. I cannot remain in that. I cannot. The ears that have heard this, they should die. I should go away from this place. So, who can feel like that? Only who has developed deep, deep affection, attachment, and love for the Supreme Lord in any particular incarnation. In this case, the Ram Bhakta. He had such love for Ram, such love for Sita. He could not tolerate to hear them. Similarly, such devotion, even higher way to Radha and Krishna. They cannot tolerate to hear. There is some competitor who will come to give competition to Srimati Radharani. This is intolerable. We find in one place, Bhaktivinoda Thakur writes, I do not want to even hear the name of that so-called competitor. He turns his head and deafens his ear. Don't tell me. I don't want to hear the name of that one. So-called. Just the name of such a person will tremble his heart, will give some painful excitement to his heart. So, to appease the devotees, Rupa Goswami in one book called Radha Krishna Ganudesh Dipika, he has revealed there the identity of Srimati Radharani, to appease the hearts of the devotees. Srimati Chandramali. He has appeased the hearts of the devotees. And there he has revealed that she herself is an expansion. Chandramali is expansion of Radharani. So rest assured, my dear devotees, there is no competitor to our goddess. And devotees are very happy. No competitor. Yes, this is very good. So, nonetheless, the devotees will be seen from time to time to fall into their deep mood of devotion, and then they will feel that. They will feel some caution as regards Chandravali, for example, as Bhaktivinoda Thakur. It's not that he had never read that or didn't know that. That is called Tatastha vichar. It's like balancing the scales. But we're not into balancing. We're for everything on one side and going downwards. Everything to the side of Radharani, everything to her camp, and going within that. So that's called bhava. The devotee's bhava. But sometimes this Tatastha vichara has to come and rescue the devotee. So Mahaprabhu, he had gone on, and the next place he stopped in South India, he found from some Purana, it was being read in the temple, that the real Mother Sita, she went to the ashram of, I think, Agni, fire, god of the fire, and that one Maya Sita was captured by this Ravana, and that actually Ravana, he never even saw Sita. He does not even have qualified eye to see the beauty of Sita, what to speak of capture her, take her, pull her onto his chariot. So Mahaprabhu had that 2-3 leaves copied from this Purana, and he returned and he gave the Brahman and showed him. The Brahman got back his life. So this Tatastha vichara like that, sometimes it comes to rescue the deep emotion of the devotee. Raghunath Das Goswami initially, how he came to Govardhan Hill? To do puja? No, to suicide. Originally he came to Govardhan Hill, there in Vrindavan, to give up his life. Yeah, he was already worshipping Govardhan Shiva, which Mahaprabhu gave him during his time. But after his disappearance, Raghunath passed many days in Jagannath Puri, and eventually he came to the conclusion that he cannot go on in life. Because not only Mahaprabhu left the world, but after Chaitanya Mahaprabhu left the world, then one by one, very, very quickly, all his devotees, they all started to go. Suddenly they was all were leaving the world. But Raghunath couldn't leave the world. So at a particular point, he decided, I will go to Vrindavan, and from there I will jump from Govardhan Hill, and there I will die. Well, you can see, this is definitely just the feeling. Because you have to jump 100 times from Govardhan Hill, and still you won't die. How you'll die from jumping from Govardhan Hill? And plus, you can't even go on top of Govardhan Hill. So, but that was his sentiment. I will go to Govardhan, there I should die. I should jump from Govardhan Hill. So he wasn't just thinking in some charming, poetic way. Actually, that was his feeling. I will go to Govardhan Hill, jump from there, and I'll die there. Finish my life there. So when he went there, then came relief. Relief work came to him in the form of Rupa and Sanatana. And he found that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu lives in Rupa Sanatana. So then he got back his will to live. He got back his will to live. And he remained always in the company of Rupa and Sanatana. Again, later in his life, many things manifest in Raghunath Das Goswami, which has heralded him as our Prayojanacharya. Means those feelings, highest feelings of devotion to Radha and Krishna, had manifest and became visible in Raghunath Goswami, particularly his deep emotion towards Srimati Radharani and her divine service. So, one particular time, he was staying at Radhakund. I don't know if you've heard this story, this pastime or not. Raghunath Das Goswami was staying at Radhakund. And he was in his old age. And in his old age, his eyesight had almost all but withdrawn. He did not see very much. So, one servant was assigned to him, and looking after his daily necessity, which in terms of Raghunath Das Goswami was a minimal affair. His daily necessity consisted of a bath, a little water, 1 cup, they say, of some curds, some yogurt, and 1 cup. 1 patal, it's called a patal, 1 cup. So one day, there's a village nearby, Radhakund. It's in that area, very nearby area, going down to Radhakund. So the servant happened to be there on some business or something, and he saw some very nice patals were available there for a few bites. So maybe he begged them even. Oh, I'm doing service for my master, my guru. Please give some cups. So they gave some cups, and he returned. Then that next day, he served Raghunath Das Goswami his patal, 1 portion of prasad for the day, curds, yogurt, like that. So shortly after, Raghunath Das became very sick, and he started to burn a fever. So the devotees became very fearful, and they brought one Kaviraj, doctor, to ascertain any disease and give any appropriate medicine. So the Kaviraj was saying, oh, it's a mild thing, simply suffering from overeating. And everybody thought, overeating? Das Goswami, overeating? He lives on 1 palmful of food in a day. How is it overeating? And Raghunath Das Goswami, as we were told, he said, that is also a strange thing, because I only took my standard patal. Same amount I take every day. So then that servant said, but this time, that patal actually was a bigger quantity, because that was a bigger leaf. Then at that time, Raghunath Das became a little suspicious, and he queried, but in Radhakund, the patals are always the same. We are living here for so many years. Daily we're using this patal, and they're always the same. So, where did you get that patal, that cup? Then that servant said, actually it isn't from Radhakund. I got that when I was passing through Shakistali, it's called. The village is Shakistali. Raghunath Das became mortified. And he said, that is the village of Chandravali. We will not take anything from there. Return those cups immediately. So he sent that person back, those cups there, and come back to Radhakund. So, in his devotion for Radharani, he doesn't even want to take a leaf cup from that place. But he also knows, if he comes out of his mood, then he knows, this Chandravali is actually expansion of our goddess. No difficulty there. But that is not the plane where the devotees remain. Actually, that is of 2 types. One, it may give some heart relief to them in some great moment of need. And 2, it will help us, the aspiring devotees, to know what is what. Otherwise, we will mix with so much aparad. Because we don't have the bhava, then we may feel some mundane contempt towards Chandravali or Abhimanyu or any of these personalities. Of course, then on the other side, you may not ever even think about it or know anything about it. But this is called Tatastha vichar. That is to give some balance in our understanding. Both in the beginning and in the advanced stage of Krishna consciousness. And our Srila Maharaj, he spoke much from this point, Tatastha vichar, explaining the nature of divine pastimes and things like this, and giving that sort of balance. So, the point of this particular verse is verse 21. Nayam sukapo bhagavan dehinam gopika sutta jnaninam chatma bhutanam yatha bhaktimatma eha. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, the son of Mother Yasoda, is accessible to devotees engaged in spontaneous loving service. But he is not easily accessible to mental speculators, to those striving for self-realization by severe austerities and penances, or to those who consider the body the same as the self. Purport by His Divine Grace. Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is the son of Mother Yasoda, is very easily available for devotees, but not to tapasvis, yogis, and jnanis, and others who have a bodily concept of life. Although they may sometimes be called shanta bhaktas, real bhakti begins with dasya ras. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Ye yatamam prapadyante tam tataya vajamiham mama vartmanu vartmante manusya partha sarvasya. As living entities surrender unto me, I reward them accordingly. Everyone follows my path in all respects. So here's before we get to the main point that I want to discuss, this is another point. How are the rasas? Shanta, Dasya, Sakhya, Vatsalya, Madhurya. Is that fine, right? Shanta, Dasya, Sakhya, Vatsalya, Madhurya. These are 5 rasas. Well, here it is said that Shanta Bhaktas. A Shanta Bhakta means a devotee in Shanta Rasa. This is not real Bhakti. This is not real Bhakti. So, what is the Rasa of the Jamuna River? What is the Rasa of Govardhan Hill? What is the Rasa of the trees? What is the Rasa of the cows, the peacocks, and all those types of things, which are everywhere in the Braj, and which actually make up so much of the Braj, the earth, the Braj itself. What is that? That is all Shantaras. Shantaras section. Krishna's flute is Shantaras section. Krishna's buffalo horn is kundals. All these things, this is Shantaras section. Then again, the Shanta Bhaktas have no real bhakti. So how to balance that? So when it is said that Shantaras is not a ras, that is the Shantaras of the yogis, who have a complete neutral position. They are in complete neutrality. There isn't a drop of seva in them towards the Supreme Lord. They're just in some plane of consciousness, realizing the super soul. Those are actually the Shantaras bhaktas, who realize the super soul. Those super soul bhaktas, you know where they go when they give up the body? Vaikuntha. Super soul means Chatur Bhuj Narayan, 4-armed form Narayan. But they don't go to Vaikuntha. Because Vaikuntha necessitates service also. They go to the Brahmajyoti. Even those who have seen 4-armed form of Lord Vishnu in their heart. Without dasya, one cannot go into the Vaikuntha. Or to speak of the upper side of Vaikuntha, into the Goloka. So, all through Vaikuntha and all through Goloka Vrindavan, the primary rasa is dasya rasa. That is the foundation. There are Shanta Dasyas, Sakhya Dasyas, Vatsalya Dasyas, and Madhurya Dasyas. All are servitor there. Serving in neutrality, friendship, parental, and conjugal love. Govardhan Hill is Shanta Bhakta. this Madhavinda Puri, a Shanta Bhakta. He was a Kalpa Vriksha tree from Vrindavan. And he came, that tree had 4 types of fruits: Madhurya, Vatsalya, Sakya, and Dasya. You see some description is given right there. And actually, it is from him that our sampradaya begins. It's not written very much because it's too esoteric a point. Generally, we trace back to Brahma, Madhva, and we go back. But actually, you trace back to Madhavinda Puri, that's where our sampradaya begins. That's where the Madhurya Rasa, the seed for Madhurya, began. It manifested with the appearance of Madhavinda Puri through his words. Srimati Radharani spoke through him directly spoke through him, giving the seed of the Madhurya Rasa. So actually, internally, you trace our sampradaya back to Madhavinda Puri. That is actually our sampradaya. And everything else is for accommodation. Because the Vedic thinkers, the Vedic followers, and all of these people, they have a difficult time to progress, to accept this, the dynamic arrangements. So, Shantaras, even Shantaras, it is so exalted. Nothing is of the ordinary type in Vrindavan. Nothing is ordinary about Krishna. Nothing is ordinary about Krishna's pastimes. Everything is par excellent, superlative. So when it says here that Shanta Bhaktas, that's not real bhakti. Real bhakti begins with dasya. You understand there the situation. So then everyone is seeking for Krishna, for he is the super soul of all individuals. Everyone loves his body, wants to protect it because he is within the body as a soul. And everyone loves the soul because the soul is part and parcel of Krishna. As the Lord says in Bhagavad Gita, Vedayas cha savera aham vedya. By all the Vedas, it is I who am to be known. Therefore, the karmis, the jnanis, the yogis, and saintly persons are all seeking after Krishna. But by following in the footsteps of the devotees who are in direct relation to Krishna, with Krishna, especially the inhabitants of Vrindavan, by this method one can reach the Vrindavan vasis, Mother Yasoda, Krishna's friends, and Krishna's conjugal lovers, the young gopis with whom he dances, have very intimate relations with Krishna. And if one follows in the footsteps of these devotees, Krishna is available. Although the Nitya-Siddha expansions of Krishna always remain with Krishna, if those engaged in sadhana siddhi follow in the footsteps of Krishna's Nitya-Siddha associates, such sadhana siddhas also can easily attain Krishna. So, this is a given rule. We must follow in the mood of the residents of Vrindavan in our bhajan life. Where does that begin? What does that actually mean? The Sahajiya section is prone to just that. Sahajiyism, which means imitation. They try to imitate the mood of any particular resident of Vrindavan, particularly the gopis, but they may also be found to imitate Mother Yasoda and Maharaj, their mood. But following in their footsteps, there is one mood that is generic amongst all the residents of Vrindavan. And that is selflessness. They are selflessness personified. What's it doing? They're selflessness personified. So to take up the mood of any particular resident of Vrindavan, that won't even be our question, our issue. Whether it's Manjari, Shaki, Vatsalya, One thing is required, and that is selflessness. How to become selfless without any selfish desire, without any selfish intention. That is required. And when we approach that, we'll say, well, fine. Well, that is not so easily achieved. That is just not a one step, and that's done. And now I'm ready for step 2. That being taken itself, the better part of our lifetime, to actually come to the stage of complete selflessness. Because without that, no one can enter there. No one can serve there. No one can add anything to that plane. No selfishness has a place there at all. It is the most extreme disqualification, selfishness. So, we are followers of the gopis, no doubt, and the Vraja vasis. First step should be see their selfishness. You going?
No, I'm sorry, my legs are...
Oh, that's okay. My legs are the same. Maybe we take a break.
No, please stop that.
Selflessness. Srila Maharaj would tell, to the extreme degree, you are his slave. You are his slave. And that just, whoa, wait a minute. And I don't mind working a little overtime. I don't mind doing a marathon. But, let me just leave it on his servant. Slavery just like shivers in the body. Slavery is such a powerful word. It's so alien. It's so undesirable. Slavery. Slavery is the highest freedom. Divine slavery will give us all the freedom and more than we could imagine in our so-called struggle for independence. And Prabhu and I were talking the other day that to help us achieve that, the mud life is established. The authority. We're going to do something. We take permission from our Gurudev. Oh, our Gurudev is not available for that. Then his representative is there in the form of mud commander, his acharya, temple president, whatever. There's some system. We should go in that system. And that is to help us enter into the life of slavery. Independence is our single biggest enemy. It is the cause of all our misfortune. How to give that up? Because in this world, as soon as we give it up, we're exploited. We're cheated. So we don't want to give up our independence on that side. And at the same time, if I give up my independence, how can I enjoy it? So I need my independence. If we think it is good, we'll be independent, we won't be cheated. But we ourselves are the cheater. We are cheated. Independence. Independence of the Supreme Lord. So, mud life means to enter into a bubble of Vaikuntha and to practice a life just as if you were no longer in this world. You were in that eternal world where everything was divine, loving grace above your head, where nothing was to be feared. There you don't need your independence. You don't have to struggle for existence. You can accept everything as grace upon your head. So what life is actually meant for that? Servant of the servant of the servant. Everyone becomes servant. Das, 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 and das. Giving up independence. Doing everything for Krishna's satisfaction. We are his property. And the amazing thing is, it's true. We are his property. Just like I have on my desk a wristwatch and a pocket watch. Relatively speaking, that's my property. If I want to wear the watch one day, I wear it. If I want to pocket the watch the next day, I pocket it. That's my property. If I want to set it here, it stays there. It has no independence. It is an object. We are simply objects. The jivas are objects of the Supreme Lord's pleasure. So that's what I say. This is a hard lump to swallow. People just don't want to fess up to the truth. He's an autocrat. He's the supreme enjoyer. We are objects for his play. But those who have accepted that, they are living in eternal happiness. Still, we hesitate to cross that line. But the mud life is to help us cross that line. The mutt life is not the place to run the secular type of existence of our independent and so many things from outside and everything. Then they comes in conflict. Not everyone may live in the mutt. Those who don't live in the mutt, they should live outside and serve the mutt. I think in one chapter in the Art of Sadhana is called Necessity of the Mutt. It's part of the chapter. Necessity of the mutt. To execute the life in Krishna consciousness, there must be a mutt. And if not a mutt, there must be a connection to a mutt and serve the mutt. Because the mutt is the Vaikuntha. It is where the ideology is in play. So nowadays, in the mutts, especially in the Western world, so much mundane consideration is coming. Everyone clamors for independence. Everyone clamors for respectability. Even the women, I've been told, they don't want to be called Prabhu anymore. No. They don't want to be called Matajis. They want to be called Prabhus. In their struggle for freedom against macho repression. Prabhu. How we want to be called Prabhu? Prabhu means master. Just see. I want to be called master. Why am I not called master? It's so funny when we first take sannyas, we're in a society. Therefore, there's so many social things. So in the West, sannyasis are called Maharaj. So every once in a while they call him Prabhu. But new sannyasis, they frequently become irritated by this. You should call me Maharaj. They'll say like that. You should call me Maharaj. It's true, we're supposed to call the sannyasi Maharaj. But we call Sri Nityananda Prabhu. Nityananda Prabhu. In Vrindavan we call Krishna Prabhu. Hey Prabhu. People come in front of the deity, they tell, hey Prabhu. Hey Bhagavan. Hey Prabhu. Prabhu means master. Nityananda is Prabhu. Advaita Acharya, he is also Prabhu. But if we slip and call a sannyasi Prabhu, then what is this? I must be called Maharaja, not Prabhu. So, sometimes like that, but really, we do not want to be called Prabhu. But we have to live with that. When you write a letter, do you sign Govardhan Prabhu? As I mentioned this morning. No, Das. We sign as Das. So sannyasis, they're supposed to sign as Swami or Maharaj. Like that. That is their. They may also sign as Das. Saraswati Thakur used to sign Kim Kardas, something like that. Means humble servant of the Vaishnava. And then he writes Saraswati. He also signed as a Das. If his disciples gave pranams, he would return and give pranams. Well, the disciples find this very difficult thing to live with. Nonetheless, they'll have to adjust. But he will not give that up, except for on certain occasions. He may also say Prabhu. They'll have to live with that. The Guru may address his disciples as Prabhu. But we have seen, not only address them as Prabhu, he may ask for blessings also. How many times we went to see Srila Puri Maharaj with a group, our group from our mutt, and Paramadrini Maharaj and others, and some devotees, and one group would go in for his darshan, and what he would tell, please bless me. You've seen this? Many times. So a very awkward position for us. Unless there's some fool amongst us that's thinking, well, okay. Since you're asking. Like the Brahmins, sometimes they may feel, I am Brahmin, of course, you know. Maybe they think like that. People think that way about Raghunath Das Goswami. Historically, people have thought, we can bless Raghunath Das Goswami. And because Raghunath Das Goswami, he has asked for the blessing of the Vrajavasis, so sometimes those Vrajavasi types, I can give to Das Goswami. I am Vrajavasi, I will give a blessing. But this is intolerable. His mood, he is praying like that. But he is the Vrajavasi, Das Goswami. And the Vrajavasi is born in this world. They don't compare to his standard, Vrajavasi. So, And these are not just words. Oh, a group has come for darshan. Here's a catchy thing to say. Please give me your blessings. It's not like that at all. It is not a game. The Vaishnavas are not playing a game. It is their heartfelt feeling. One time, someone was telling me, Maharaj's father was telling me, he was an association of one of my godbrothers in Hawaii. And he was saying, he's so heavy. He's so heavy. He made so-and-so cry. He's so heavy. He made so-and-so cry. He's so heavy. He was talking about how heavy he is. How heavy he is. So...
How heavy when you're godbrother?
Yeah, with another devotee. He made him cry. He made Sudama cry. He made this one cry. He made that. He's so heavy. He made him cry. And I said, yeah. I said, yeah, I can just imagine. I said, and what it was is this Maharaj's stepmother was in the middle. He was from one side towards that camp, and I was pulling on this side towards Sri Maharaj. So he was trying to tell how heavy this godbrother, this preacher, this guru, so heavy. He's made big men cry and break down. I said, yeah, I have seen. I said, Sridhar Maharaj, he's so heavy. Just looking at him makes you cry. And Bhakti has her name. She was captured. She became a disciple of Sridhar Maharaj. And Venanath, he was a little stunned by that too. He was like, what do you say? He is so heavy just by looking at him. You feel for your condition. So, what is that? Anyway. Questions? Krishna and Vrindavan?
I had 1 or 2 questions from you, but I left.
Yeah, me too.
About Krishna's, I don't remember the question, but it was about his original, the original Krishna not leaving Vrindavan.
Well, yeah, there wasn't much of a question there. It just seems like, from what you're describing, that a certain intimacy of Krishna's Leela is actually hidden by
Bhagavatam.
some design.
Yes, because Bhagavatam, careful how you would actually say this. I've said this before, and some senior Gaudiya personalities told, no, not like that. Everything is there in Bhagavatam. So we say everything is there in Bhagavatam. But actually just yesterday I heard Srila Sridhar Maharaj say, Bhagavatam is only pointing the direction. Just, it's this way. So many things he's not told there in the assembly. He's not directly mentioned Radharani, not told any of these things. Later in the works of the Goswamis, all these things are given wholesale. Not even the time of Bhagavatam. So, yes. This morning we were discussing how the first deities were installed after Krishna's, after the Vrindavan pastimes and everything. Then King Janmasthami, and he appointed the Vrajanath. You know Vrajanath? Vrajanath. Krishna had 16,000 wives, queens in Dwarka, Swakiya Ras. In each home, 10 sons. Each son married, and 10 children each, something like that. So one of these grandchildren of Krishna married, and his wife was away at the family residence to give birth to the child. That's the Indian tradition. At the time, the Yadus self-destructed, and all were gone. But this one queen means wife of one of the grandchildren of Krishna at Dwarka, remained. And her child is born, one male child. He became known as Vrajnath. And King Janmasthami, who is the son of Maharaj Parikshit, he appointed Vrajanath the king of Mathura. And the king of Mathura then established all the original deities of Vrindavan, Govindji, Gopinath, Madan Mohan, Banki Bihari, the deities of Yasoda and Nanda, and Nandagram, Gopal, the lifter of Govardhan, who later appeared to Madhavendra Puri, and 4 Shiva Lingas, Chaklishwar, Gopeshwar Mahadev, 2 others, Dauji and Goku. He established all these deities and all these temples originally. You know the hill Madan Mohan is built on? Have you ever looked down the side, you see all these bricks sticking out of it? It's a very peculiar hill. It's a mound which has increased over the centuries. And maybe 20 years back, more, 25, maybe 30 years back, somebody got down at the base and then pulled a brick out of the base of that hill. You see all these little rubble and brick. Pulled a brick, like pulled out a brick, and it has an inscription that this was the temple of Madan Mohan 5,000 years ago. The Madan Mohan deity was first established by Vrajanath, who was on the temple there. Later destroyed, the deity was moved, and later Vaitacharya came, and the deity was manifested Vaitacharya, and later Sanatana Goswami came. He was serving the deity. The deity was taken up onto the hill in the modern that temple. Again, that temple destroyed. Down at the bottom of the hill, another temple. Vraj has a long history. So all these original deities established by Vrajanath. And at that time, no Radharani. No Radharani established there. So not only Krishna, in certain aspects of his Leela, but the most profound aspects of his Leela, not revealed at that time. Not revealed until the time of Mahaprabhu and 6 Goswamis. And through them, all was revealed. And Janavi Devi played an important role in that. And I know, in instance, for example, Govindji, when Govindji was revealed on the hill, that's the Yoga Pit of Vrindavan, where Govindji temple is. And he was, have you ever been down in the hole where he was, in the ground?
No.
You can go under, down, inside. Maybe I think we all went together once with your Guru Maharaj. Were you on that trip? But there's the stairs that go down. There's a chamber. There's the deity of Yoga Maya. You're quite far under the ground. That was the chamber where Govinda was hid and covered over with dirt. Everybody ran away for the hordes of Turks which were invading. Then the deity remained there for centuries. And then again, the cows used to come and give milk from their udder on the ground. 3 or 4 cows, soaking the ground. And the village men, they noticed this. And they went to Rupa Goswami and told him this phenomena every day. The cows, they come and they ooze milk on the ground. So then Rupa Goswami came and he saw that. And he gave some thought about that. Then in the night when he slept, he had a dream. He could see the Lord beneath in the ground, requesting, please, excavate me from here. So they went there and they dug and they go so far down and they hit the big stone slabs, double and triple layer, those big things. Removing them, they came right in onto the roof. There was Govinda Devi. So when he was revealed in that way, the word spread all over Braj, huge big festival and everything. Prior to that, there was Gopal revealed to Madhavendra Puri. 1 year on a festival was held. 1 year. Govardhan Puja type festival went on every day for 1 year, 365 days. Madhavendra Puri conducted the festival. And at that time, Madhavendra Puri, who was a sannyasi and not a Brajavasi, he initiated all the people of Anayor, the village of Anayor. He initiated Brahmins, non-Brahmins. This is a big reference in Chaitanya Charitamrita about what Saraswati Thakur did as a sannyasi, initiating non-Brahmins, initiating Brahmins. He's a non-Brahmin. And that was all done by Madhavendra Puri. It's mentioned in Chaitanya Charitamrita. So like that, Govindaji was worshipped, and one king was in Jaipur. And that king's name was Man Singh. Man Singh was king of Jaipur, and he was also the commander-in-chief of Akbar's armies. And if you ever look at a political map, Akbar had one of the biggest armies known to the world, particularly relative to the size of the world in its time. He ranks right up there with Hitler, America, Genghis Khan, and whatever. He was one of the most powerful people ever on the face of the earth. He ranks right up there with Rome. In fact, he had an area which was bigger than Rome, the Roman Empire. And his commander-in-chief was this Man Singh. And Man Singh, when he heard that Govindaji is manifested again at Vrindavan, he came and he offered service. And that way he's considered disciple of Rupa Goswami, of that type, Kshatriya. And he financed the building of that Govindaji temple, and the architects for doing that, they also came from Jaipur. So originally, only Govindaji was in that temple. Then, sometime later on, and exactly I don't know the time, but in all these stories, sometimes there's a mistake of the person at the time. But Janavi Devi, the wife of Sri Nityananda Prabhu, she had a dream. And in the dream, she saw in Jagannath temple, there's one shrine, and there's one goddess there. There are many little shrines inside the Jagannath temple, many deities and many deities and goddesses and gods and goddesses and so forth, demigods. So she had a dream, and this Devi appeared and told, here in Jagannath temple, I'm worshipped as a Devi. But actually, I am Radharani. I am Radharani, and please take me to be by the side of Govinda and Vrindavan. So then, Janavi Devi, with her influence, they got out this Devi in the temple, and they took up to the Ganges, and then put on a boat all the way up to Allahabad on the Ganga, and then veering left and going up the Jamuna, and they came all the way to Vrindavan with the deity. And that is why, if you look at the deity of Radha Govinda, the original Radha Govinda, who are now in Jaipur, Radharani is only half the size. Only half the size of Govinda. So like that, such things are not necessary. Height and all these things, these are secondary. The Lord himself appeared, and later Radharani herself appeared. But you can look and you'll notice, oh yeah, look, Radharani is only about this tall to Krishna, and that's when she's elevated on the platform, actually. Way less than half the height of Krishna. So, the first deity was there, at the side of Govinda, manifesting from Jagannath. And then after that, one arrangement was, 3 Radharanis were being sent. One story was there. 3 Radharanis were being sent. One was to be with Madan Mohan, and 2 others were designated somewhere in Vraj to be with the deity of Krishna. So the same arrangement, they came, deities, and where these 3 came from, I'm not sure, but they came to Vrindavan by boat, with everything. Then when they arrived, then the servants of Madan Mohan, they had a dream that Radharani is come, no doubt, but other 2 are Lalita Vishaka, not Radharani. So then that Radharani joined the side of Madan Mohan with Lalita Vishaka, there in the village of Kuropi. So like this, the consorts and the Shakis, the associates of Radharani, they appeared only in the time of the Goswamis and shortly thereafter. The conception was brought by them, and at a point, only some of the deities remained in their singular form. Gopal, the lifter of Govardhan Hill, and actually he'd been taken away. And Radharaman, who had manifested to Gopal Bhatta Goswami. So they decided at Radharaman, there must be Radharani by the side. So they made an arrangement in Vrindavan, they installed one deity by the the side of Radharani. So then, one day when the pujaris opened the door for the Mangalarti, Radharani was gone. It vanished from the altar by the side of Radharani. That's why they have that dress that is placed there by Radharani. They tell us Radharani, but only they have the dress of Radharani with a mukut. So that from that day on they placed the dress. And they searched high and low, looking, where is the treachery? Who is the thief? Nothing. No one can enter such a tight security. Nothing can impede here. Nothing can enter. So then they concluded by man. Man means anger. In her man, Radharani has become angry. And she has left. When she wishes, she'll come back. So then, some time later, like more than a year later, the news came from near Delhi that a Devi has been found in a well. A Devi. And so the temple is being built. And so the Radharaman Goswamis, they felt something like, Devi in a well. Let us go for that function and let us see that Devi. So they went there for that function and they saw this is Radharani. This is the Radharani who was by the side. But they knew no one stole it. No one stole it. So they didn't dare to take her back. Well, she was established there as a village goddess. So from then till now, the people of that temple, they're all households, when they go for this hair-cutting ceremony of the children called Mandan Sanskara, they go to that place. It's very near Delhi. And they have some special worship they do there. So, Radharani came to Govinda, Madan Mohan, like that. Then deities were installed like Radha Damodar and Radha Shyamasundar. And Radha is there in the beginning. But with Madan Mohan, with some of them, Radharani wasn't there. Then when they tried to bring Radharani, then she went away. So from then on, like that, Radharani is told us Radharani. But practically speaking, you don't see any Radha. Then they also have their own ontology there. They say, actually, Radharaman is Mahaprabhu. Radharani is combined there. Krishna is never without Radharani. So Radharani must be there. So if she can't be seen, then she must be within. Originally the absolute truth is one. It has become two. But we see that only one is there. So that, who is that one? When the two become one again, that is Mahaprabhu. So inside Radharaman temple, they worship Radharaman as Mahaprabhu also. They can see him as Mahaprabhu, Radha Krishna combined. Like that, they have some feeling for that. So, very true. The pastimes of Krishna are not fully disclosed even in the ancient time of the Bhagavatam and Naimisaranya. Only in the time after that, the six Goswamis, and so many the confidential aspects of Krishna's pastimes. Vrindavan, they were disclosed in the mood of service. And who are the higher servitors? Disclosed by the Goswamis. Otherwise, unknown. Unknown and unknown. And Narayan was favored. At Krishna's Janmasthami, the deity is Narayan. There, the deity, you can still see the original deity. But it's not there in the building, the Janmasthami. It's in the same neighborhood, about 4 blocks away. There's this little temple with one of the most gorgeous deities you have ever seen in your life. It's Vasudeva Narayan, standing with 4 emblems, Shamachakra, etc. It's about this big. When Mahaprabhu went to the Janmasthami where he danced, and that's recorded, that's the deity that he saw. Later that temple was destroyed, the deity was hidden off and all this, and it remains where it is, and Marwaris have built this other big temple, and you go there, and it's sort of just like a carnival. And there, every god you can think of is in that temple. Here and there. The original deity is in a neighborhood like 4 blocks away behind. So, even after Krishna's appearance, he remained more or less unknown and unknown. A great mystery. Most concluded, he is an incarnation of Narayana, of Vishnu. And none could understand the position of his consort, or the important position of his consort, such as Srimati. Then all this became known after the time of Maharaj, with his descent. Jai Shri Janmasthami Lecture ki Jai, Shri Shri Radha Govinda Dev ki Jai, Shri Vrindavan Dham ki Jai,
Om Vishnu Pad Bhakti Gaur Narasingha Maharaj ki Jai.
ki Jai. Past the last 35 minutes before breaking fast with the japa. It's not good to have a kirtan. I don't want to have neighbors as my enemies here. Is that all right?
Sure.
Unless you want to talk more.
I have one question, Maharaj.
Yes.
You mentioned in your lecture and also in other lectures, the exalted Vaishnava, they say you have to follow which parts of Vaishnava if you want to follow. And I always said this question, what does it mean to follow in this ways? It's too much exalted to get an answer, or
Now what does it mean? Who is a real Vraja Vaishnava? There's a story how, let me stress my language. There's a story how one man, he came by Mayapur, right? Then after that he crossed over to Navadvip and he found that Gorakishore Das Babaji's over there, extreme renunciate, extreme tyag. So he went there by his company. So when Babaji came to know that he'd come from Mayapur, he asked, how is Saraswati? And then this man said, they are, what is it called? Aishwarya Bhav. You know, they're the Vaikuntha. They're for this Vaikuntha opulence and grandeur and show. You know, they're not Radhamar. They're not in the line of Vraja Bhakti. And Gorakishore became furious. What do you know about Vraja Bhakti? Bhaktivinoda Thakur and Saraswati Thakur, they're directly descended. They are directly the men of Braj. And of course, they're showing some Aishwarya in their preaching. They know how to serve Braj. Not you and so many other fools. And he told that man so many things, straight in his tail. So, they're thinking, what is... most of the people are thinking, oh, Vrajabhav must be always so sweet and must be great tyag. And they have some, just like, I once thought in India, I can become famous. There's no doubt about it. I can become famous in India. But I wouldn't want to live one day of that fame. You know how to become famous in India? Just become a big hypocrite. Become a big spiritual hypocrite. Just come up with some outrageous statement and just stick to it. Say it everywhere you go. After you're proven wrong 10,000 times, never admit it, stick with it. In 10 years, they'll be believing it. You have thousands of people flocking after you, making a birthday cake for you to walk through, throwing money at you and building a big ashram. Yeah. Stand on one foot on the Parakrama trail every Ekadasi. Just keep standing there and pretty soon you'll build a temple. You know where that guy is? Guy ain't got nothing to say, don't know nothing, doesn't have any budget. He just stood there on one foot, leaning in a tree, you know, and people just go, boom. I have a story, there's a truck going down the road in India, it hits a boat, boom, and a rock falls out, right? Boom, lands on the side of the road. Next thing the guy is driving a rickshaw or a tonga bike, and he spits pond, and it lands on the rock, right? And then the wind blows and a flower comes by and lands there. Come back 10 years later, you hear how Agastya Muni established his lingam here, 10,000 years ago. Just, There are, what's the baby from the movies?
Oh, Segundo. No.
No. Santoshima.
Santoshima.
Yes.
There
Santoshima.
is no Santoshima. There is no Ayyappa. And about 15 to 25 million people go to that temple every year. Ayyappa. They do vows for 1 month. They chant incessantly, Swami Ayyappa, Swami Ayyappa, Swami Ayyappa, Sharanam, Swami Ayyappa. They go and they go and they go. And
It's insane.
There is no Ayyappa. There's no Ayyappa in the Vedas, the Puranas, or anywhere. And I just saw the other day, Maharaj goes, there is no Ayyappa. It's all concoction. So you just make a concoction, you get your little peacock feather, go like this, you just keep doing it. It doesn't have to be elaborate. Just some little thing. Just be cheap, and you'll become very popular. Very, very easy. Several times I've told people, all the astrologers told me in previous life I was Man Singh or Jai Singh. Astrologers will tell you whatever. And it's just like, they did. It's just like, I could just take that story and, what we used to tell people? I was the Tipu Sultan. And Suba and these villages, they just, yeah, let's go with that one, And it's like, whack, give them a slap. That's just the simple, the nature of the people. They want to be cheated, they want some story. And that's, if you look at all the bogies, they all got a story. They all got some ridiculous thing they do and say. And who is less popular? Those who are really preachers. They're less popular. Whether they're Madhvas, Ramanujas, the people that stand for truth, their particular plane of truth, they're the least accepted. So the average people don't know who is a resident of the Braj. They don't understand what is a real Vrajavasi in the first place. So once we find a real Vrajavasi, then to follow in his mood, as I said earlier, the first step is selflessness. That is his mood. They are selfless. They are not for any selfish, personally motivated cause. They are only for the cause of the Supreme Lord. They are only for the welfare of all other living beings. One nice thing when we presented Gayatri Mantra for the people here, Maharaj, and it's a nice book. It's on a very elevated topic, one that's risen a little controversy. That's all right. It shows that it is on a very elevated topic, no doubt. After all of that, for an hour, and we leave the room, we go back in the room, he's again looking at the book. He's sitting there rubbing the book. And then he's asking something for the welfare of the people. The high topic. How can this not be of great interest? Not that book, particularly, but yes, that book. Commentaries of Bhakti Vinod, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Sridhar Ardhya Goswami Maharaj. How can these things not be of interest? Gayatri? Such a central interest. Your Guru Maharaj, so much appreciation of Gayatri. So, I think it must have, but what did it awaken? Not like, oh yes, and some other high topic, we need to have a book brought out on this or that. What I'm trying to say, the whole thing, the next thing that followed, was a concern for the ordinary people. A book about Krishna, which can be understood by everyone in the world. He asked for 2 books. One about Krishna, one about Bhagavatam. Like Life and Precepts, small and understandable by everyone in the world. In one sense, that's not possible. Because there's so many different types of people in the world. But nonetheless, the idea was the compassion. Broad, simple presentation. For what? For those who don't know about Krishna. Why? Because if one passes this human form of life and does not come to know or hear or understand something about Krishna, then he is lost for an ungiven, determined length, unimaginable time. He's lost in the lower species. So how important it is to hear Krishna, to hear something about Krishna. So, those are the trick, the thing, the Vraja gopis, the Vraja people, they're only for the gopi ras, they're only for the gopi ras. No. the Vraja people, when they come to this world, they are also for the fallen conditioned souls. Their hearts weep for them. Their eyes shed tears for them. They are concerned about them. This is equality. And so many of the so-called, high devotees, which you find in Vraja, they're not concerned for preaching. They lack this great compassion for other living. This program, Food for Life, ISKCON, Food for Life, prasad distribution. Of course, prasad distribution has always been there in every temple, even in a Hindu temple. Prasad is everywhere. Even if it's not prasad, they have prasad. The Sikhs have what they call langar. It's like the equivalent of prasad. It's just mercy, food, feed. Yeah, that's a given. Right? But how ISKCON, our Guru Maharaj's movement, became so much like involved with prasad distribution comes from one incident. They always used to give prasad, but the idea that they would give, on such a grand scale, as was organized with the prasadam hall and the prasadam distribution in Mayapur initially 20 years back and all that, came from one incident. Srila Prabhupada walked to the end of his veranda. Down below was the kitchen, and out back was the leaf pile, where the prasad leaves are thrown. Srila Prabhupada walked to the end of his veranda and looked down, and there were some Navadvip children from Mayapur crawling in the trash pile, licking the leaves, eating out of our trash pile. And this moved Srila Prabhupada to tears. And he called his secretaries, servants, and told them, this isn't the entire. This cannot be. Not a single person should be hungry. We must distribute prasad, and that's what started their big campaign. You see the thousands of people every week. And it cost. They've spent $1 million and more just on prasad distribution over the years. It came from that. Intolerable. So, how to find the residents of Vraja? They have such compassion and love for the other living entities. This must be seen. They are selfless. They are not for themselves. And how to serve them? Ask them. Don't speculate. Find one, ask them, what can I do to serve you? Or if that opportunity is not there, don't think, hey, I'm the only person that's figured this out. Just look, the line of service is going on. You don't even have to ask. A lot of people they just want to feel that they ask, Guru Maharaj, how can I serve you? And of course, that's not a bad thing. But maybe that opportunity is not there. Well, don't think that the line of service isn't going on because you haven't asked yet. It's going on. Get in the line. See who are serving. Offer some service. When in doubt, ask. How I can serve. What I look for is a number of things. But as far as Harikatha is concerned, I don't look to see how much the Leela of Krishna is being discussed. That's not the key for me. I look to see how deep the discussion is, even over the simplest point of Krishna consciousness. How deep the discussion will go. Where I see that going on, then I know this is where I'm going to put my ear. Put my ear here. That so many pastimes of Krishna are always being discussed. I'm really not that interested in that. And I found out that neither are a lot of senior devotees. Srila Maharaj recently said, Krishna Leela, that's a dreaming thing. That is not even for this life. That is a dreamy thing. It is not even real. What reality you'll find of Krishna killing demons here? What reality you can find about any of these things here, practically speaking? Where is the reality of that? It's all in the Swarup Shakti. But Gaur Leela came right to your door. Nityananda came right to your door and knocked on your door. And their representatives are still sitting in the chair They've come to our door and they're still sitting in front of us and they're still speaking. So which thing will be most interested? We're not against Krishna's pastimes, but the reality is there's not that much for us in this present life in that plane. And in Gaur Leela, the Acharya Leela. People go to Vrindavan for various reasons. The pastimes of Krishna, I speak personally, that's secondary. I go to Vrindavan for the Samadhi of Rupa Goswami, the Samadhi of Sanatana Goswami, the Bhajan Kutir of my Guru Maharaj, the places of the Acharyas. You go around, oh, Krishna killed a demon here, oh, Krishna stole a bangle here, there's all these things, Hribo, 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 Hribo. But when you come to the place, oh, here's where, Tara Kadambi, here's where Rupa Goswami wrote the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Now this is a place you want to pay attention to. More so. That realm of Vrindavan for us is more beneficial. Where these acharyas perform their bhajan life, where they perform various things. More important for us than where Krishna's pastimes. In a sense, understand just a particular angle of vision, saying that's more important for us. Just like there was that evening, the Brajmandal Parakram, our Guru Maharaj and others were there, many were there, they made an announcement. Tonight the Parakram will go to Seshai Vishnu Temple, blah, 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 blah. Saraswati Thakur is going to give speech. Whoever would like to stay back and listen, they may stay back, otherwise the group is going to group, the general group, 9 out of 10, they went to the Seshai Vishnu Temple in Koshi. And our Guru Maharaj said, I thought, what I'll see there, one deity, one place of pastime. Here's Guru Maharaj speaking. How much opportunity I have for that. This place has been here 5,000 years. Guru Maharaj, no telling. So he stayed. And Sridhar Maharaj also told us that story. He said, yes, I remember that night. I also stayed. Many stayed. Many stayed. Some of the devotees, they may have gone because they had to take the pilgrims. That doesn't mean, the fools went for the darshan. But a certain intelligence says, this is better. And actually, that's true. It is better. Nam Bhajan and Vaishnava Seva is superior to the Archan Mark. And this Ambarish, story of Ambarish, this exemplifies the position of a Vaishnava. It's one of the great things that it does. The position held by the Vaishnava is so great. If we get a chance to actually serve a Vaishnava, that can bring us unimaginable good fortune. So, yeah, and not so hard to identify. But everyone will say, yes, we've identified. Sai Baba, we identified. Amritama, we identified. This one, that one, we identified. People all think they've identified. This is the phenomenon of the material world. So much cheating going on. And given the inspiration to live in the fool's paradise. At this point we were discussing who is a follower of Srila Sri Maharaj. There's some debate going on. Who is in the line of Srila Sri Maharaj? Men and women getting into the debate. And one devotee mentioned this Pujala Ragapati Gaurava Bamye, right? But they didn't mention that it's written on the gate of Sri Maharaj's ashram. It's arched right above in Bengali. Pujala Ragapati Gaurava Bamye. It's there. Entering that land, entering there, this is the mandate. This is the mood. This is the standard. If we're going to follow his line, and which is the line of Saraswati Thakur, which is the line of your Guru Maharaj, which is the line of my Guru Maharaj, this is a mandate. This is the mandate of Saraswati Thakur. A little distant and below, we will hold the highest conception above our heads. And this necessitates and includes the service of the higher devotees. Not trying to be the higher devotees ourselves, but serving the higher devotees. And not trying to position ourselves there in the higher lila. Coming back and giving regard for that. That's this whole color. This is a color, lower color. Higher color is white dress. Babaji, Paramahansa Vesh, white dress. Only we keep the bead bag white. Sometimes Guru Maharaj has a colored bead bag. This is all they're doing, it's the disciples. But actually, the bead bag is white. The bhajan is of that quality. But to do good to the world, Saraswati Thakur put this color dress. Lower position. Paramahansa. Then we told Paramahansa, Paramahansa, Paramahansa Paramahansa. Not just Paramahansa. But lower position. Babaji dress, white dress, that's Paramahansa dress. Paramahansa dress. So, go to your mutt means to do the ultimate good, ultimate welfare for others. So you would think by now that the line would be firmly established. Yet there exists in the world so much doubt and confusion in so many quarters about what it means to be a follower, who it is we're following. Some section says, Prabhupada Nugas started a new sampradaya. When asked who's the head of the sampradaya, Prabhupada. They'll say, Prabhupada, for the next 10,000 years, Prabhupada. So we say, well, when's that going to begin? If it's for the next 10,000 years, when's the first day going to begin? When these are the law books of human society. Or do you mean to say you're the only humans? Because you follow those books. You know what they're saying? All right, Guru Maharaj's books are law books for the next 10,000 years. So when's that going to begin? They're certainly not the law books now. So when is that going to begin? And as Narayana Maharaj said once, what books did he write anyway? I don't think he wrote any books. No, Chaitanya Charitamrita. He didn't write the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Kaviraj Goswami did. Bhagavatam, that's written by Vyas. Nectar Devotion, that's written by Rupa Goswami. What are you talking about when you say Prabhupada's books? And somebody said, Easy Journey to Other Planets? He said,
No,
he said, Easy Journey to Other Planets. He didn't write that either. Krishna wrote that through him. It's pretty good. He gave him a good lesson.
He said that.
What?
He said that anyway.
Yeah. I mean, Srila Prabhupada used to read his own books.
Yeah.
And say, I didn't write these books. Krishna did. So I used to try to tell my godbrothers, you know that story, you know that mood? Yes. All right, then I'd think, now you read this book. Sridhar Maharaj didn't write this. Oh, I don't believe it. I don't believe it. But really, transcendental literature must be backed by something. And not just the doing of the man. If it's really transcendental now, every year it's like, remember the last time we were in Mayapur? Last time we went to Vrindavan? All the books came. So many books came. Garbage. There was 2 books out of like the 6 new books that came out, which had some semblance of value. Remember that? There were some books that were like, you didn't know where to put them. They were so useless. And they're full of misconception, all kind of things. It's like, where do you put this thing? I didn't know where to throw it up, throw it down, throw it up. Just leave it there and leave the room. Oh, everybody has a book. Everybody has a book. That's become the thing. Write a book. And after one book, then what's your next book, Prabhu? There's this ongoing thing. Write a book, write a book, write a book. But books are not supposed to be like that.
It's like Ramar said.
Better to bring out the works of the previous acharyas, particularly than to find the faults with others. Some persons are qualified. They bring out a book. It has a value. It has a value in the preaching field. That's one field. It has a value in the devotee field. That's yet a different field, different type of preaching. Right? Then there are those books that come out. They don't have any value in any field. it's somebody's mental speculation and misconception, we have no value for those, no regard for those books. We don't allow them in our books. We don't allow our students to read them. They're bad. Books should be in the line, should be in the proper line of conception. What your Guru Maharaj told Gayatri, the book is on Gayatri. There should not be any misconception here, no fancy creation of your own. All these things. There was some concern. What is this? How is this? That should be the standard. I saw a book this year on, what was it on? Shiksha Guru. It's page after page after society consciousness.
What I don't understand about that whole Gayatri thing, there already was a book on Gayatri that came out 9 months before yours did.
I know,
Yeah.
and there have been, that's
Nobody said
before that,
anything
before that, before that. But there's a certain problem in that, because I was the one that brought out this publication, not somebody else who they think should be the giver. It has a lot of personal ego. Anyway, yeah, so how to recognize the line, the character, all in the line may not be of the same character. That's also true. All those who are of the right character, they may also not be the same. We're seeing in our light, say us, the holy devotees, we're seeing 3 prominent devotees, Saraswati Thakur's disciples. We did not see all. We have come to know now there were many, but we have seen 3. My Guru Maharaj, Srila Sridhar Maharaj, Srila Puri Maharaj. 3 we have seen. All others, we did not see. And others, both Tirtha Maharaj, Narayan Maharaj, they are disciples of their disciples. That's another generation. That is not the upper generation. Upper generation, who are your Param Gurus. You may take Shiksha Guru or whatever, that's another thing. You may also leave that tomorrow. That's another thing. You cannot leave Guru Varga is above you. Saraswati Thakur and his disciples. Understand? Then one line comes after that. Sridhar Maharaj, my Guru Maharaj, Srila Puri Maharaj, they are distinctly 3 different personalities. There's no comparison personality-wise. What did Srila Puri Maharaj tell about Siddhanta? My Siddhanta and Sridhar Maharaj's Siddhanta are one, non-different. What he told, who doesn't accept Sridhar Maharaj's Siddhanta, he is not a follower of Saraswati Thakur. So with Siddhanta, the thing is there, the correct Siddhanta. The delivery may be different, so much different.
Did you see that tape recently where he said that? Those are really good.
I was speaking to Maharaj the other day, and I said, Maharaj, we thought we had seen it all in Prabhupada. Then Krishna just amazed us, what we saw in Srila Guru Maharaj. And I said, remember 10 years ago, or 8, 9 years ago, I asked you, I said, do you think we'll ever encounter anything similar to this again? 2 such personalities in our life? And Maharaj and I, way back 9 years ago, we said, no, I don't think you can do better than 2 in a lifetime, And I said, well, Maharaj, I said, I have been there, and I have seen in Srila Puri Maharaj, which you could not imagine. You could not imagine to see in Prabhupada. You would not see that. And you could not imagine to see that in Srila Maharaj. And what is that? I said, that is just, how do I describe it? I said, it's just like unleashed ecstasy. Just shaking the body, voice trembling, just like, it's like a hurricane just coming. That's just like, I said, and not the same, there's some difference in terms of the individual. I said, so we think at any stage, oh, I've seen it all. Now the next, now I have seen it all. We're always going to that, okay, that's it. I've seen it all, I know it all, but that may not be the case. They're different. You can imagine, I just couldn't imagine our Guru Maharaj. Giving any, it's not possible. It's just not possible.
Seemed very private.
completely reserved. Then, say, Srila Sridhar Maharaj. I told Maharaj, I said, Maharaj, we would see what? His extreme pensive mood. Just eyes would shut, head would tilt this way, head would go back, head would tilt this way. Look out at the world like it wasn't even there. Go back into his own thoughts. So we never saw him shaking and shouting and all of this faltering voice, overwhelmed like that. We never saw. I said, well, you've seen him. It's really important to understand. So, if you're looking for the higher devotees, good luck. If you don't find them, keep looking. And when you find them, do something about it. Don't just say, oh.